Forget-Me-Nots and Camellias. 12 songs on there. The link is in the description. I'd really appreciate if you check that out. And then I have a poetry cookout as well called The Many Shades of Flowers. The Many Shades of Flowers. So the link for that is in the description as well. 40 love poems. 40 love poems. 40 love poems. For $1. It's $1, so I really appreciate it. Everybody who checks that out. Thank you. Okay. There's a game called Ghost of Tsushima that came out like a couple of years ago. It's about a samurai in Japan. Around like the year 1200 apparently is when it was set. Now they got a new title in that series called Ghost of what? I'm forgetting the name. My bad. But it's like set in the 1600s. And it sparked a debate because now it's got this, oh my god, hold on. It's the door that's making noise. It's sparking a debate because they've placed a female protagonist there and she's a female samurai and all these sort of things. And some people are just rolling their eyes because it's more of the thing that we've been seeing, right? Where they're kind of feminizing a lot of these franchises and even periods of history and all these sort of things. I was doing my research and historically they were female samurai, right? First of all, there weren't that many. They were there and they did fight in battles and stuff like that, but they did not fight nearly as much as the men did. And obviously, for obvious reasons, they weren't as strong. So the issue is that I'm in the camp where I was just rolling my eyes when they announced that we've got this new female samurai, all these sort of things. Not because I'm against female protagonists. Let's get that whole thing out of the way because a lot of people are just going to be like making accusations. You're sexist, you're this, you're that. There are many examples of games with female protagonists that have sold very, very, very well throughout gaming history, but even in the past like 5 years, whether it's the Resident Evil 3 remake, I believe, even Resident Evil 2. I believe Resident Evil 2 did have a male protagonist, but it was like 2 protagonists, like 2 characters. One man, one woman. But Resident Evil 3 in particular, I believe, had a character called Eve, was her name? If anyone's played it, you'll let me know what her name was. She's on the box. She's the one everyone recognizes. She was the main character of that game. I haven't played it yet. I have it on my console, but I'm yet to play it because I just want to finish some other things before I play it. But I will play it, and I'll probably enjoy it. So there's Resident Evil, the female protagonist. There's Stellar Blade, which sold very, very well. That had a female protagonist, Princess Peach Showtime, which also had a big male audience, and that sold very well. And there's a new Legend of Zelda game with this Princess Zelda as the main character this time. Historically, it's always been Link. There's a male who's the main character, but for the first time you can play Zelda in the game. I think it's Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom that's coming out soon, and that's projected to sell well, and I'm confident it will sell very, very well. Nier Automata sold very well. That had female protagonist. Bayonetta 3 sold very well. That had female protagonist. Horizon Forbidden West had a female protagonist, and Horizon Zero Dawn had a female protagonist. Like, I can keep going, guys. There's so many games with female protagonists that sell very well. So this narrative that, it's just, people just don't, if people are angry at this, it's because they don't want women in games. It's not true. It's not true at all. You know, despite the controversy, Last of Us 2 sold well and all these sort of things. So, My issue with this is Ghost of Tsushima, first of all, is supposed to be grounded. It's more realistic. It's like it's historical and they're trying to be accurate. So it's not one of those things like anime where you can just discount reality and anything goes and characters can just do anything with willpower, you know, like willpower is its own little ability that gets you out of sticky situations. That's not the case here. So here what they're trying to convince us of, because necessarily this female samurai is going to go up against male samurai and ronin and very skilled male swordsmen, and we have to buy that there were women out here that could clash with highly skilled male swordsmen and not only win but dominate them. And it's a game, so she's gonna be cutting through like hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of them, right? And it's so preposterous. Like for me, it breaks the immersion. It's such a glaring flaw. Because this is a game that's supposed to be grounded. If you play Ghost of Tsushima, you know that it's meant to be realistic. It's not really leaning into fantastical elements and stuff like that, and the supernatural and all these sort of things, because that's the only way you can explain a woman doing that. And that's just realistic, guys. Even in the real world, I guarantee you, if you, take these female samurais from back in the day, and you put them up against, there's this one famous samurai, what is his name, Masashi or something. There's a very famous samurai. If y'all know what his name is, let me know in the comments. It's got a whole bunch of quotes attributed to him, and he'd get into duels. You know what I'm talking about? They want us to believe that you could just take some girl, even if she's been trained from birth, and she goes up against the male and she just beats him. Forget about strength, forget about speed, forget about all those things that males are just superior in. None of that matters. It's ridiculous. In anime, yeah, you can make those arguments because anime, the rules are different, right? There are no rules really in anime. Someone can get stabbed in the gut. I was watching One Piece, and when, spoiler alert, when Whitebeard got killed, he had two holes. He had one hole right here in his chest and one in his stomach, like going all the way through, and there were big holes like this, and he was still standing and he died on his feet, despite having these gaping holes in his chest and his stomach. And he'd been shot multiple times and all these sort of things. None of it killed him. Luffy as well. At some point, this is like one of the old episodes. What is that guy without the sand powers? I forget his name. He had a hook for a hand, and he thrust it through Luffy's stomach and came up. His hand came out of the back as well. And you're just holding Luffy like this. His arm protruding through his body all the way through. His little hook was sticking out the other side of Luffy's hand. And Luffy survived that. And he ate meat and he got strong again. It's anime. There's no rules. Yeah, come on. Apparently. But in a game like Ghost of Tsushima, or that franchise, that Ghost franchise, the premise was entirely different, the world was entirely different, it's clearly more grounded and historical. It is even incorporating real people that existed into the story and stuff like that. It is really going for that realistic feel, like real samurai, really how they actually lived, and they were trying to be authentic with the jewels and how the jewels would go down and the movements of the sword and all these sort of things. So that's my main issue. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. It's not possible. It will never go down that way. Realistically, this isn't a diss Even me being mean or anything, it's just reality. These girls will get cut down, and they get cut down quickly with almost no effort. We're talking about skilled male. If he's going up against some common foot soldier who doesn't have much training, he hasn't been training since birth, like in the case of a lot of these samurai, they're born in noble families. They're all the noble class, not the nobility, a lot of them. They're trained since birth, right? Not since birth, but from childhood. So they can be very, very skilled. So some guy who picks up the sword later in life, yeah, she might beat him. Although I think if he's good, he'll still give her a run for her money. But I could see a situation where she could win that. But if you're talking about someone who can train just as much, and he has the male advantages, it's ridiculous, guys. It's such a ridiculous premise. I don't know. That's just me. But it's part of a growing trend I'm seeing where people are just forcing these things on us. And a lot of male characters are being pushed to the side in favor of these female characters in situations that don't make sense. Like just don't make sense contextually. Again, it's not about being against female characters, but it has to make sense. Because I think it's part of this larger agenda to convince us that, like the feminists have always said, women can be everything men can and better. Reality be damned, biology be damned, right? And it's annoying because it's just not true. It's not true at all. Women can't do everything men can. There are certain things you can't do better. This makes me think about the NBA, right? It makes me think about the NBA and the WNBA. These female basketball players are always complaining about how they don't get paid enough compared to the men. And the level of entitlement is crazy to me. When you really look into it, it's actually absurd that they're actually asking for more money. They're actually getting overpaid. They should be quiet because if all things were fair and equal, they wouldn't even be getting paid as much as they are right now. They'd be getting less money. But I think the NBA is actually being generous towards them. Let me explain. So first thing is first, the WNBA is subsidized by the NBA. So these men are actually paying for a lot of the infrastructure around the WNBA. They pay for the trips that they take, so when they're catching all these planes and all these sort of things, and these media tours, the WNBA, the NBA pays for all of that. I think it pays for the facilities they use and all these sort of things. So they are subsidized by the NBA. So already that's a big thing. But probably the biggest issue in all of this is the fact that they don't generate nearly, when I say like they don't generate nearly as much money as the NBA does. Right? But they want to get paid the same, which doesn't make sense because where's the money supposed to come from? If your games aren't making as much money as the male games, why do you want to get paid the same amount of money? Isn't that common sense, guys? Just as an example, this is just an example. The male team, like let's say two male teams play a game and they generate, this is just a random number I just pulled out of my ass, $10 million, right? And you generate $1 million. And then you find out that Steph Curry and all these guys are getting paid $600,000 per game, whatever the case may be. That'd be a lot. It's almost a tenth of the total amount. this is meant to be realistic. You find out that he's getting paid 600,000. Meanwhile, you only got paid like 50 or 100. You're like, I also want to get paid 600,000. That's more than 50% of the total income. Are you crazy? But that's literally how these girls are moving. That's literally what they're saying. It's like, you want to get paid, not just the man, but how? Who's gonna pay for that? You are already being subsidized by the NBA. They're already giving you money. And you're not making as much money as them, otherwise they wouldn't have to subsidize you. You'd be able to pay for everything yourself, but you can't. Otherwise, because if the NBA strips its funding and tells you you're on your own, do it by yourself, the men will no longer help. They'll go bankrupt. There'll be no NBA, there'll be no WNBA anymore. So, how can you have the audacity to ask for the same amount of money? But it goes back to what I was saying, which is this fundamental denial of reality. They're just denying reality. And people are just expected to accept that. It's like, no. So we're seeing a lot of examples of this in society where we're just expected to ignore obvious truths. Like just the concept of a female samurai. I'm sorry, it just doesn't appeal to me, man. Like some things are just inherently masculine. Yes, they're a female samurai, but like they just weren't as strong or as cool as the male ones, you know? Like, and it's just the way it is. Like, yeah, there are female UFC fighters like Ronda Rousey and whoever else. But come on, like, are you really gonna compare Ronda Rousey to John Jones, to Demetrius Johnson, to Stipe Miocic and all these people? You know, Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira. Like badasses, like really strong, powerful mixed martial artists who'd wipe the floor with the best of the best female martial artists within the first 30 seconds of the first round. It would never be close. Like, surely you can see why people wouldn't be as big of a fan of like a Ronda Rousey as they are of Alex Pereira or John Jones or any of those people, right? But we're expected to just act like Ronda Rousey would 100% beat John Jones in a fight. It's so ridiculous. John Jones is currently injured, right? With his injury, I guarantee you he would wreck her. Is he injured though? I think he's recovering. I think he's on the tail end of his recovery. We'll see. I think he's almost done. Yeah, I'm just tired, man. I'm tired of the lies. I'd have no issue if this was some new franchise with a new character in a new world, and it's not meant to be realistic. It's not meant to be believable. It's just fantasy, like, you know, magic, all this sort of stuff. Then it's like, okay, like, then I can get into it. But when you're trying to convince us that this is historical, this is actually possible, you know, truth is oftentimes crazier than fiction. So, you know, sometimes you see things in movies where, like, for example, someone's shooting a gun and they're unbelievably accurate and they shoot a room full of 10 men really quickly, all headshots, really, and the people are like, that's not possible in real life, yada yada. I've seen things, like for example, I'll be watching YouTube shorts, there's a guy I watched, he has a lot of gun videos and he shoots things and he throws these discs in the air when he shoots them while they're falling, he shoots them really quickly, and he's so accurate, it's unbelievable. And if people saw that in a movie, they'd be like, that's not possible in real life. But when you see it, you're like, oh, it is. In fact, in real life, sometimes the things in the movies downplay the things in real life about these guys that do a lot of these crazy things. So when you see a game, the reason why I'm saying that is because with these samurai, when you play these games, you see these sword fights, and you know, they aren't that meaningful, they aren't that strong, they aren't that this and that. I mean, you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. But now, the issue is when you're introducing these female characters and they're doing the exact same things and are on par with men, as if there are no physical differences between men and women, that's when I'm like, okay, now you're losing. Because guys, there's limits to what's possible. A lot of things are possible that you wouldn't even think are possible. Yes. But at some point it's just magic. It's lies. There's just certain barriers, obstacles that you just can't overcome. It doesn't matter how much, right, I want to be the best NBA player. If I start practicing basketball right now, there are people who started long before me, are way more talented than me, that will be better than me. Like, it doesn't matter how much willpower I have, how much I really want it. I'm not going to be the best NBA player of all time at this stage in my life. I probably won't get to the NBA, to be honest. But, you know, like, there's just certain obstacles at some point you just have to acknowledge, like, I'm not doing that. That's crazy. So I just get tired, man. I get so tired when I see this nonsense. They're trying to convince us. You know, with sword fighting, I'm not an expert on sword fighting either, but there's things you have to consider. It's not just swinging your sword. It's not purely skill-based either. Like, skill is definitely a factor, but also you have to consider strength. When one person is far stronger than you, when they swing their sword, and you're trying to block that, you're going to feel it, and you have to remain steady on your feet. You can't drop your sword, you can't be pushed back, because any of that, obviously dropping your sword is over for you, but even like losing your balance or being pushed back, stuff like that, it takes a split second for your opponent to capitalize on that and cut you at a critical place, and it's over, the fight is over. So when you're dealing with men who oftentimes are bigger than you, so they have the size advantage, the reach advantage, and can still be faster than you on top of that, and have a greater lung capacity, so they're not going to get tired as quickly as you are, and all these sort of things. Naturally are more violent. They have a greater capacity for violence and drive towards violence and all these things. So they're willing to go a lot further than you are to win, and all these sort of things. These are all so many things you have to consider in a fight. The psychology of men versus the psychology of women, so on and so forth. So it's not as simple as two humans swinging swords. These are different beasts. Men are different beasts all together. They're not the same. So that's why the whole female warrior thing, it's not. When we're talking about real life, when we're talking about realistically, it's not realistic at all. It does not make any sense. When we're talking about a trained female and a trained male. understand that point because people sometimes misunderstand the point. We're talking about two people who are trained in equal amounts. The biology is a very serious factor to consider. There was a story of this woman that was in a martial arts competition with a male who identified as female, and she was grappling with him. And when he put her in a hold and she felt him squeeze, she was terrified, and she literally said it was like a fight or flight instinct, like life or death instinct. She thought she was going to die and she had to fight for her life. And this adrenaline kicked in, and she was literally fighting for her life, and she managed to get out of his hold and put him into submission and make him tap. But this is a guy who, when he was competing against men in his league and before he went to the female league, he was losing badly. He was losing very badly. So this is a runt. There's a runt on the male side, and then he came over to the female side. And this one was at the top of her league, and he nearly beat her. And she was literally fighting for her life. She thought her life was in danger because she felt his strength. So this is someone who's not that skilled. Imagine if he was even a little bit more skilled. Because he's just relying on his strength really to win that fight. So there are situations where your skill can give you a marginal advantage. But when we're talking about a man who is both strong and highly skilled, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's not going the distance. The fight is not going the distance. And I wish people would have the common sense to realize that. The common sense isn't all that common. But it's a science. It's a science, because you can get people to believe you like anything you think. You know, the CIA, hey, I don't know if you've ever heard of the brainwashing experience. But it was written about how they would conduct experiments. And there was a particular experiment in which they had a bunch of agents in a room. They would get one civilian. So let's say there's 15 people. 14 of them are agents. I don't know if it's the FBI. I think it was CIA. There's the government agents. Let's just say government agents, right? 14 were government agents and one was a civilian. But the 14 government agents were pretending to be civilians. They were all pretending, right? So they get put in a room and they get lined up against the wall. And they're all shown a picture. I can't remember exactly what this happened, by the way. This is a real experiment. I can't remember what the picture was exactly, so I'm going to make up my own example, but it's the same concept. So let's say it's a picture of a cow on the piece of paper. It's a picture of the cow. So someone would go along that line of people lined up against the wall and ask them, what do you see on this picture? Do you see a cow or do you see a sheep? On the picture is clearly a cow, but the agents who are pretending to be civilians, keep this in mind, and the only civilian in the room thought all these people were civilians as well, because that's what they were told. Whenever the person would move from one person and is asking them, what do you see in this picture, a cow or a sheep, the agents would say sheep, even though there's obviously a cow. And the civilian is seeing this, like, why is everyone saying sheep? It's obviously a cow. But then by the time the person gets to the civilians is, what do you see, a cow or a sheep? What do you think the civilian said? It said sheep. They didn't want to stick out. They went along with what everyone said because they were going along to get along. And that's when the government realized that they can manipulate reality. They can lie to the people and the people will buy it because people don't like sticking out. So they believe blatant lies. And we're seeing that these days. So now we're seeing people like retconning history, talking about female samurai as if they were just as strong and capable as the males. But we know that historically men fought all the wars. And yes, there were female warriors. But there's a reason why we don't send females out to fight, generally speaking. And we shouldn't send females out to fight, generally speaking. because they're just not as capable as men are at violence, at war, at winning battles. But they're trying to convince us that women can do everything men can and better, therefore making men obsolete. And it's obviously false. There are very big differences between men and women, and you can't ignore them. But when we start spreading these lies and enough people start going along with the lies, everyone eventually falls in line and starts believing in the same things when it's obviously false. There's obviously a difference between men and women. Men and women are not the same. They're not interchangeable. One can't become the other, and so on and so forth. But you spread the lie enough times, you say it enough times, people start to believe it's true. And it's frustrating because it's obviously not true. So yeah, when I see things like this, they do not think this just in games, they're doing this in movies, they're doing this in comics, they're doing this in all kinds of entertainment. I just roll my eyes, man. This is trash. It's lies, it's propaganda, there's a clear agenda here. It's a retcon history. And to put it in simple terms, the female samurai just aren't as cool as male samurai. It's just not as cool. I'm not into it as much as I want to see a strong manual cutting niggas up. Blood all over the place. Doesn't smack the same when it's a girl. I'm sorry. If we're trying to go for that realistic feel, it's not the same, man. Yeah, y'all will let me know what you think. I think this is a controversial video. So, it's taken develop out there as individual watchers right now. Things make them more unique and guiding when called to us peace, prosperity, and purpose. Thank you for blessing this person with wonderful people and life. Love and take care of them, being love, so blessed again. And thank you for the other way to do the same thing, being blessing this person with love and marriage, sustaining their love and marriage, and making them very, 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 very happy. Thank you for blessing this person with the spirit of gratitude so we can give thanks for all the wonderful things in life. And they're giving thanks they can find peace, contentment, and try taking more blessings. Let your presence be felt in this person's life, and let your die, let your love and mercy be there for them. Good health, all life, and happiness. For this person, they're going to care about you. In my name, we pray in Jesus' name, pray. Amen, 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 amen.